You're listening to Packers Talk Network.
You're listening to No Huddle Radio on the Packers Talk Radio Network, your home for in-depth and thoughtful Packers analysis. I'm your host, Gil Martin. My co-host is my good friend, Sean Tehan. In addition to this show, I write for the PackersPost.com and Cheesehead TV. Sean was a TV sportscaster in Minnesota. We're here to talk Packers because you're all here for one thing, and that's a love for Green Bay football. Sean, how we doing today?
We're doing good, man. Hey, we're even though we had a lot of flooding in the Milwaukee area, the Milwaukee Brewers got us free burgers. So hopefully the Green Bay Packers could do something even better coming up this year, maybe get a Super Bowl trophy. But before we get into the discussion, let's talk about who helps run our show and make our show go. And that's ticketking.com. That's theticketking.com. They've been providing Packers tickets to Packer fans as well as Bucks tickets, Summerfest tickets, and those Brewer tickets are a hot ticket right now for sure. Best record in baseball. Hey, they're a pretty great team. But you can find them on the web at theticketking.com or visit their locations in Green Bay and Milwaukee. Support local Wisconsin businesses, and you can watch every episode of No Huddle Radio on Packers Talk Network with myself and Gil on YouTube. Click on the bell, turn the notifications on. You can join the discussion, chat with us live. We'd love to see and talk about the comments coming our way. And Gil, I feel like there's plenty to discuss right now, and we're going to lead it off right away with talking about Jordan Love, where the preseason opener wasn't too great, but then we found out later, he had surgery. They called it a procedure, but he had surgery on his left thumb, and he's out of practice a little bit this week. It doesn't sound like it's going to be a long-term thing, but let me ask you, Gil, is Jordan Thumb's left thumb injury concerning? We're going to come right out of the gate at this.
Is it concerning? Yes. Am I terrified? Am I panicking? No. First of all, very thankful that it's the left thumb, not the right, non-throwing hand. And I think, two questions come to mind. Number one, when you're talking about the thumb on your non-throwing hand, the big thing is taking the snap from center. That's going to end up being the big thing that he needs to be able to do with that hand. He should be able to throw the football just fine. And then the second question is, how long is it going to take until he can return? Everybody seems to be optimistic he'll be ready for week 1. I don't think he was going to play this week in the preseason against the Colts anyway. Is he missing some valuable practice time, especially getting the timing down with rookies like Matthew Golden? Yes. But it's part of football, and the Packers are going to have to make that adjustment. The fact that he'll be ready for opening day and should be okay, it could have been a lot worse. Let's put it that way. What are your thoughts?
Well, I'm with you where if this is the right thumb, I'd be a lot more worried because we've seen that in the past with quarterbacks where I think of Drew Brees right away where he hit his thumb in a follow-through in a game and he missed a month. He missed more than a month, and that's because it was his right thumb, and usually that's what happens where you hit the helmet and those quarterbacks, you can't grip the football. You can't get any power behind the football. Your thumb, if you look at how the quarterbacks throw the football, the thumb provides a lot of power in the hand. It really does. So it's good that it's not the right thumb, but like you said, Gil, though, we're taking snaps. You think about it, the right hand is on top, the left hand is on the bottom, and essentially it's like if Jordan Love isn't healthy enough, if that left thumb isn't healthy enough, you're going to be putting a lot of extra emphasis to overcompensate for that injury on that right hand. And essentially, you're just trying to catch it. You're just trying to, kind of suction cup it, where really you should not be doing that. That should be going equally into both hands because that's where fumbles happen. And when you have a new full-time center in Elton Jenkins, a guy who has played center, a new full-time center in Elton Jenkins, you're not getting those snaps down. That's where it's a problem where there's valuable reps and everything. But the Packers were in the shotgun quite a bit last year with Jordan Love because of his knee issues. So this is nothing really new, and you're just losing valuable reps. But I'm not concerned until I have reason to be concerned. And right now, you just got to take Brian Gutekunst at his word, where it's going to be really short term. He's probably going to be back by the end of training camp, honestly.
Right.
And if he's out for more than a couple weeks, if he's on the injury report with that thumb injury going into week 1 against the Lions, then I'll be a little concerned. But right now, I don't feel the need to be overly concerned about this injury.
Yeah, no, overly concerned. No, concerned a little bit concerned. Yeah. And, he does operate a lot, as you said, out of the shotgun or out of the pistol. So I think we're talking about 25% of snaps roughly that he's taking it from under center. But even that, if you have 50 offensive plays a game, and you probably have a little more if your offense is doing well, that's still a lot of opportunities to fumble or to have issues.
Yeah, and you got to think too, it's like handoffs going to the left or runs to the right. He's handing off with his left hand and everything. That could be a problem. Yeah, if it's tweaked a little bit on a jet sweep or something like that, or a quick handoff. That's the exchange issues are what I'm more so looking at, where you just hope that it sounds like the surgery went as well as possible. It doesn't sound like he should have any setbacks coming up. He's even doing walkthroughs a little bit. He's not doing anything in team drills or anything like that. But again, not concerned until I ever reach it to be concerned. There's a lot of chatter on these local airwaves here, Gil, where essentially some people were saying, "Oh, is he injury prone?" It's like, come on, man. Like, yeah, come on. Last year with the knee injury, a 300-pound behemoth of a defensive tackle rolled him up, and he just was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And now it's like thumb injuries happen, man. Like that, and this is football. It's a collision sport. It ain't contact sport. It's a collision sport. So this is going to happen.
It is unfortunately going to happen, and hopefully the injuries remain minor. That's the only way to put it.
Yeah, and speaking of injuries, Gil, obviously we could talk this entire episode about the Packer injuries right now. You got Xavier McKinney, who's dealing with the calf issue. He's probably out for training camp, but supposedly going to be good for game one. Nate Hobbs had a knee procedure. He's out for the rest of training camp. Should be good for game one. But with Xavier McKinney, Brian Gutekunst also said earlier this week that he should be ready for week one for sure. It didn't seem like he was very concerned about that. But before that preseason opener against the Jets, Jaden Reed was seen in a boot at the preseason opener with a foot sprain. Dontavian Wicks has been missing a lot of time. Christian Watson obviously working his way back from an ACL. Savion Williams, the rookie third round wide receiver out of TCU, has been dealing with injuries on and off throughout camp, as well as Luke Musgrave and Lucas Van Ness. Romeo Dobbs was dealing with some injuries. Marshawn Lloyd dealt with groin issues recently, but is back at practice. Rasheed Walker, he was dealing with some injury stuff. He's back at practice. So let me ask you this, Gil. It's a lot of injuries right there, and I'm probably missing a few. You could probably correct me if I'm missing a few, but are the Packer injuries right now a big deal?
Thankfully, none of them appear to be major injuries, but, they seem to get a lot of these injuries, these minor nagging type injuries every year.
Wow.
And you start to wonder, do they need to approach things differently? Whether it's the strength and conditioning coach, whether it's the way they handle training camp or the off-season program. You just get the feeling. I mean, look, injuries are a part of football. We all know that. Shouldn't the law of averages average out after a while? It just does seem to me that too many injuries are happening too frequently.
I will say right now, and knock on wood, big time, Gil, is that we haven't heard of anyone getting carted off the practice field. We haven't heard anything where it's like, yep, season's over. We thought there was something possibly with Marshawn Lloyd, but it was just a setback, fortunately, and he sounds like he's getting back in the swing of things and everything like that. But with the groin, with the soft tissue stuff, you can't rush that stuff, because guess what? If you rush it, then you got to start all over, and then you're back at square one. Then we saw that with Christian Watson with the hamstring a few years ago, and Aaron Jones as well. That's just what happens with soft tissue stuff. But luckily, right now, I don't feel like it's a big deal right now, because it sounds like all these injuries are very minor for the most part. They're still injuries, but they should be good to go for week one. And again, I'm kind of in the same camp with this as I was with the Jordan Love thumb injury. I'm not worried and concerned until I have to be worried and concerned. And that's where I stand right now.
Yeah, and I think it hurts like the rookies that are out right now. The Savion Williams, the Colin Olivers, those are guys that I think are hurt more, because the reps in training camp are so vital for those rookies. They need that if they're going to, it's one thing to do the mental reps when you're a rookie, but you really need to be out there on the field, get your timing down, not just know in your mind where you fit in on a given play, but get a feel for where you have to be, where your teammates are going to be, how the play actually unfolds. That is, I think, where these players who are really missing time, those rookies are really going to be affected by this.
The wide receiver group is just really banged up right now. Like that's could be a potential. We were talking last year. It's like, wow, this group is so deep, but Bo Melton was moved to corner because there was so much depth, it seemed like, on paper at receiver. Bo Melton may have to play some receiver.
He may.
If these guys don't come back healthy. So, and it's interesting because we're talking about where if the Packers are thinking about trades coming up, or where if they're thinking about moving a guy like a Romeo Doubs who's coming up on a contract here and may not get the money he wants from Green Bay, and Green Bay may want to get some in return, but they kind of need all hands on deck right now. It kind of seems like that situation where, yeah, and you hope that Jaden Reed being in the boot is more precautionary and that it's just like, hey, it's just protecting himself, just keeping it tight and everything like that. But you hope you don't want to ever see anyone in a boot, especially arguably your best wide receiver on the offensive side of the football.
Yeah, no, the boot is never a good sign. And hopefully he's able to get back in time for week 1, because let's face it, against Detroit, they're going to need Jaden Reed.
Yeah, it's good that Detroit again has new offensive coordinator, new defensive coordinator. So you should be ahead of them. You should kind of be ahead of them. But again, it's like Detroit has had their number for the better part of the last 3+ seasons. It's just you need all hands on deck against those guys as soon as possible. Now, before we get to the regular season, we got to talk about the preseason. And the preseason opener on Saturday, Gil, well, it was a dud. The Packers, they lost 30-10. It was just really, really ugly. And we'll talk about the ugly in a bit. But I want to lead with some positives about the preseason opener against the Jets on Saturday at Lambeau Field. What, in your opinion, was the best part about the preseason opener? Who was the most? Who was the best? Who showed the best performance on Saturday?
Wow, the best performance. That's kind of a loaded. You're going to limit me down to
good out. It's like it is loaded. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you want me to go to one? Okay, I'll start with Amar Johnson. I mean, I think that would be the highlight of the entire game, is that touchdown and the way, not just the fact that it was a 39-yard run, but he bounced off one tackler, showed a little burst, overpowered another guy. Like, I like the way that run played out more than anything. So I'll start with the touchdown and the guy who made the touchdown, Amar Johnson, even though I don't think he has a very good chance of making the 53, but I think his chances of making the practice squad just increased significantly.
Oh, yeah, for sure. And I was thinking that too, where when he had that touchdown run, he showed some really good bursts, some really good, ending speed and everything like that. The way he was just able to finish the run was really impressive. When I was watching that, I was like, all right, running back room's a little deep. I think this guy is destined for the practice squad, though, and Green Bay's going to make sure that he has a spot on their practice squad. But for me, it was Jordan Morgan. Jordan Morgan playing at left tackle. There's been a microscope on him. People have really, really been focusing on him. He didn't really play very well on family night. He had some bad moments, but man, he looked good. He looked good as the number 1 left tackle against the Jets on Saturday. And I know it's preseason, but he held his own. He wasn't a liability. And it just seems like the big thing with football is you're going to deal with so much adversity. It's a matter of who can learn from it the fastest and who can move on the fastest and adjust the fastest. And Jordan Morgan, it looks like he's trending upwards right now because he was really impressive at tackle on Saturday.
He was very good. I was pleased. He didn't allow any pressures in the action that he took. He was playing predominantly with the first string offense. And, all of a sudden there's a battle at left tackle where, before with the injuries on the interior, we saw more of Jordan Morgan playing guard. All of a sudden now Rasheed Walker goes out. Now he's since come back, but Walker goes out, and that's cue Jordan Morgan, next man up. Here's your opportunity to go out there and show what you could do. And to his credit, Morgan did that.
Yeah, and Jordan Morgan, this is exactly what the Packers want. They want a hard decision at left tackle, because if there's a hard decision at left tackle, that makes Rasheed Walker very appetizing in trade talks. I'm just saying where Brian Gutekunst has been willing to do anything with this roster. It seems like in his time as GM, where it could be, and you got a lot of pending contracts coming up and everything like that. A lot of guys entering contract years where you may want to get out and get something before it's too late, because you're not going to be able to pay everyone. And I like Rasheed Walker too, but if Jordan Morgan can consistently improve that he can play left tackle, Rasheed Walker could be on the move in the next few weeks. So, and I will say this too, the top two rookie selections of the Green Bay Packers, Matthew Golden and Anthony Belton, were also impressive, I thought, on Saturday. I think Matthew Golden's got some crazy wiggle. He's got some crazy speed. I think he's got some really good hands. That third down catch he had was one of the few bright spots on Saturday night. And Anthony Belton was mauling people, and he actually played pretty well too.
Yeah, and Belton had a big block on the 39-yard touchdown run as well. So let's give him credit for that. I'm going to add two more names to the good side, and it was few and far between, but got to give some props to Nazir Stackhouse and to Baron Sorrell. Sorrell with two hits, on the quarterback. Packers did not have a sack. They had 3 quarterback hits. He had 2 of them, and then Stackhouse just held his own and occupied those blockers at the line of scrimmage. I was pleased with what I saw from him.
And you guys also mentioned too Colby Wooden, where he made life a lot harder for the Packers front office, because a lot of people are thinking, oh, he's not making this team, but he played pretty darn well on Saturday as well in limited time, and he's making them rethink, like, okay, maybe we should keep this guy on the roster for another year, because he played pretty darn well as well. Gil, obviously, we got to flip to the negative, and there was a lot of negatives on Saturday. What to you was the worst part about that preseason opener, or who was really a few guys who really were disappointing in your opinion?
I'm going to start with drops and penalties without even naming someone specific. You had all off season to clean up these two things, which were a problem last year, probably a little bit of a problem the year before, because you had the youngest roster. Can't use that as an excuse anymore. Drop passes and holding penalties and illegal formation, like, these are preventable. And the fundamentals. What was the thing about Vince Lombardi? He kept it simple, and you did the fundamentals over and over and over again until you could do it in your sleep. Or what was that? The basketball movie, was it Semi-Pro?
Yes.
The puke, right? You got to run the puke.
That's all they did.
That's all it.
Run the puke, and they can do it in their sleep.
You got to be able to do that without illegal formations, sloppy penalties, and dropping passes. And it's just been going on too long. Look, again, like you said, you don't want to worry until you have to worry, but can we do something else wrong for a change, instead of repeating the same old things that we've been doing wrong time after time?
The Packers got to find their own version of the puke. That's the plain and simple, Gil. That's it. Like, they got to find their own version of the puke. And I'm with you where the holds, it's like, okay, it's in the moment. I can kind of deal with that. It's more so that's a technique thing. And that, I feel like that's correctable. But the thing is, the pre-snap penalties should be avoided. You should illegal formations, like being in the right formation, being in the right spot. That's install day one stuff. That's mini camp stuff. And you're seeing those issues on the field in the middle of training camp, and you're playing in live action. That's pathetic. That cannot happen. False starts. That's just the mental mistakes, the encroachments, whatever it may be, offsides. Like, those are the pre-snap penalties are very much avoidable. It all comes down to discipline, and the lack of discipline. I'm going to cut some slack because it is the first preseason game, but the lack of discipline was just mind-boggling to me. That was really, really hard to see. And then the drop issues outside of Matthew Golden's hands are fine, but the drops are just something they can't shake. I don't understand it, where it's like these guys, we've seen these workout videos in the offseason of these receivers, running routes and everything and working hard and doing all these cone drills, but it's like, just put them in front of a cone, just put them in front of a jugs machine, just have them catch 500 balls a day. Honestly, it's getting to that point where it's absolutely ridiculous.
It is. And, it can't continue. this has to be cleaned up because the Packers, the NFL is hard enough. You cannot beat yourself. The other teams are a big enough challenge. This team cannot disrupt its own drives, coming up 2nd and 15 because you lined up in an illegal formation, or, missing out on 3rd and 7 because, the receiver was open. You threw it 10 yards downfield, but he dropped it. Can't keep happening. It cannot continue.
And I will say also, I'm going to add on where it's just like, it just seemed like it was an exhibition game, obviously, but it seemed like the Packers treated it like an exhibition game because they just kind of seemed like they were sleepwalking at times where it's just like, yep, we're here. And I did hear a good point, though, where the Jets, that's an organization that hasn't been to the playoffs in 14 seasons. They have a new head coach, a lot of new guys there, and essentially they needed to come out with a bang more than the Packers did. You know what I mean? Where it's just, they needed to, there was something more to prove for that new coaching staff, for the players on that team. Now it's a new chapter in the Jets franchise, in their franchise history. And I feel like they needed to show more than the Packers did. Or maybe the Packers felt that, but I don't know. But it's just hard where it's like, how do you not get up for a game? It's like, that's you deal with the dog days of summer with the hard training camp practices and everything. And the practices are a grind. Nobody likes practice. Nobody likes football practice, but everyone gets up for games. It's like, and when you see guys sleepwalking, even through a preseason game, it's like, how do you not get up for that? And I will say the one player that had some bad reps overall, and maybe it was just a matter of just learning a new defense and learning a new scheme, but it was Isaiah Simmons. He looked very lost at times, especially in pass coverage. It's kind of rough to watch, and hopefully that's stuff that they can correct pretty quickly. And because I think Isaiah Simmons is going to get a spot on this team just because he is a good special teams player, but defensively, he's going to have a hard time finding reps if he can't seem to know how to handle himself on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and it almost feels like during training camp so far, he showed why he was a top 10 overall pick. Yeah. And during the preseason in game 1, he showed why he has not become a starter in the NFL because he gets out on the field and he seemed lost. Now, hopefully that can improve as he gets more comfortable out there, but he could not do what he did. I got to add another player, obviously, and I think this one was pretty flagrant. Jacob Monk just did not have a good game. What was it? 3 holding penalties, gave up pressures, and it was not a good performance. And, with Travis Glover out for the year, they need Jacob Monk even more. And this was not the way to start. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, and Jacob Monk was a guy I was excited when they drafted a year ago, where it's, you felt like it was him and Graham Barton were the best 2 linemen at Duke at the time. Graham Barton went round 1, and he was a good player his rookie year in Tampa. And you thought like, oh, Jacob Monk was like a captain. He's pretty versatile, but man, some guys, it just doesn't click for them. Maybe that was just a one-off thing, but Jacob Monk's he's got to impress the coaches a little bit coming up because his roster spot's definitely in jeopardy. Going into game number 2, preseason game number 2 at Indianapolis, the Packers, they're in Indiana for joint practices with the Colts. What should we look out for in the second preseason game at Lucas Oil Field?
Well, first, let's clean up those illegal formations and drop passes.
That was number 1 on my list, Gil.
You got to start with that. Let's get the fundamentals down. Let's play smart football. I do not expect perfection in the preseason. You got different guys in different situations. It's a lot of moving parts, but let's just get the basics down and let's clean the drops, the illegal formations, and just the sloppy play. And then, there's a couple of draft picks that have made some good showings that I want to see more of. Obviously, Matthew Golden, I think that goes without saying. I want to see Barron Sorrell do a little bit more. I want to see Anthony Belton a little bit more. And will Xavier Williams be able to play this week? Will we get to see him make his preseason debut? If he's healthy, we're so short on receivers. I really think he'll get a lot of reps, but I don't know if he's going to be ready to go.
I'll add on to that where I want to see more intensity from this team.
Yes.
I want to see them give a crap. I want to feel like they give a crap, even though it's an exhibition game. Just just show that, hey, like this is important. It's like, because not many guys get this opportunity, and I just want to see more intensity. I will, though, add on, I'll counter that where it's like, yeah, I do want to see Matthew Golden, but I really don't want to see him for more than 2 series on Saturday. And it's because Jordan Love is not going to be playing in this game on Saturday. He's recovering from that thumb injury, the thumb surgery. So you're not going to get those reps between Love and Golden at all. But I feel like, even though it's a small sample size, I feel like Matthew Golden's showed enough where it's like, hey, just bubble wrap that guy and get him ready for the regular season. I do not want to waste reps in a preseason, in a meaningless exhibition game for Matthew Golden, even though I know I'm talking about where it's like, yeah, I want to see guys give a crap in the exhibition game. It's not necessarily like I'm not saying I want to see all the starters out there. I want to see the guys who are, though, playing on the field actually play like they care when they're out there. But Matthew Golden, to me, has already shown enough. I think he may be the most talented guy in that receiver room already.
Maybe.
It's a small sample size. I don't want to see him for more than 2 series, though. And then I do want to see if Jordan Morgan continues to grow and improve at left tackle. Give him as many reps as possible there. I just want to see him and see how he builds off of that first performance in the preseason opener. And then also, I want to see more Bo Melton at corner.
Yeah,
I want to see Bo keep playing, because it seems like he's holding his own pretty well right now.
It does. And I'll add one more on the offensive side. I wanted to see more Taylor Elgersma in the first exhibition game, and I want to see him get more than what he get. 1 drive, 2 drives at most.
The Canadian cannon needs more, man.
The Canadian cannon is loaded and needs to be fired,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Ba-bang!
Exactly. I want to see him get at least a quarter of action. Now, there are only 3 quarterbacks available. If Matt LaFleur keeps it the way he did last week, where, everyone would get an equal part of the game, they'd each get about a quarter and a third, I would like to see more from him.
This is Taylor Elgersma's day coming up.
Yeah,
it will be. He's gonna get some valuable time, and you do wonder. It's like Malik Wilson's gonna start, and he'll probably. I would anticipate he plays a quarter, maybe. But then after that, I could see Matt LaFleur alternate between Sean Clifford and Taylor Elgersma, unless they don't really feel great about Elgersma. I mean, remember last year we wanted to see Michael Pratt in the preseason, but clearly the coaches did not think very highly of him, because Michael Pratt it was pretty much like, yeah, we're not going to bring this. We don't even want this guy in the practice squad. Like, they clearly just did not care for him. Maybe they feel a little different about Taylor Elgersma, but yeah, I want to see him throw the ball and lead the offense a little more than he did in the opener. Gil, before we wrap up with some trivia and we move on and wrap up another episode of No Huddle Radio here on the Packers Talk Network, what articles you got coming up on Packers Post and Cheesehead TV? Obviously, a lot of content just with injuries alone, but we're in the heart of it, man. We're getting closer to opening day. What do you got cooking online?
Got a lot cooking online right now. Over at the Packers Post, I took a look at Tehan Hopper, among other players who are and Jordan Morgan, players who are kind of seemingly taking a step forward right now in their second season. And then at Cheesehead, it's interesting because we talked about this on the show today. I talked about whether or not some of these preseason injuries can be prevented. That connection that Matt LaFleur brought up about, hey, if I play my guys in the preseason, the numbers say they're less likely to get injured. Years ago, they used to play 6 preseason games, then 4 preseason games. They used to actually play the starters in the preseason games. Mm-hmm. And now these guys barely see the field. Is that causing more injuries? And is there a sweet spot that we could find to get the guys ready to play and minimize the injuries?
Such an inexact science. It's like, hey,
it's
football. It's a violent game. Stuff happens. It does.
It does.
I really don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I'm interested to hear your take and read your take. So read Gil's stuff. You watch us on YouTube, but read Gil's stuff. So
Thanks.
Yeah. Gil, you ready for some trivia?
I am always ready for some trivia.
All right. Well, the Packers, again, they're down in Indianapolis for the better part of this weekend for joint practices with the Colts prior to preseason game number 2 at Lucas Oil Stadium. Colts currently have one official former Green Bay Packer on the roster as of today, as of Thursday, August 14th. It's on the offensive side of the football. Gil, name the one former Green Bay Packer currently with the Indianapolis Colts.
Wow. Offensive side of the football.
Yeah. He's a big boy. I'll give you
Yeah,
that.
okay. A big boy offensive side of the football.
His time in Green Bay was very limited. I'll put it that way. And it was within the last couple of years. We have talked about him a little bit on this show.
Yeah, I'm drawing a blank on this one.
That's okay. And anyone who's listening at home or on the podcast or watching on YouTube, good luck guessing this one because this is a tough one. I didn't even know he was on the team, but it's offensive tackle Luke Tenuta. Yeah, Tenuta was a member of the Packers organization from October 2022 through the end of training camp last season. He appeared in 3 games with the Packers during the 2022 season, but didn't play during 2023 after the Packers placed him on the season-ending IR before the initial 53-man rosters were assembled. A former Packers preseason superstar running back Tyler Goodson, he's also a member of the Colts. He joined the Colts in 2023 after the Packers let him go following training camp in August of 2023. Goodson wasn't included in this answer because he technically was never on the Packers 53-man roster, and he never registered one official non-exhibition snap with the Packers at any point in his NFL career. Goodson has scored 2 touchdowns, has totaled more than 330 yards in 22 games over the last 2 seasons with the Colts. So yeah, tough one, Gil. I would have been very amazed if you got that because again, I was looking at that roster. It's like, oh, Luke Tenuta plays for Indy. I remember when he was a Packer. That was it.
There you go.
You're so you have so much integrity. You didn't even look it up, so I appreciate.
I did not look it up. No, and I could have, but no, I did not.
Yeah,
I did not.
It's always fun seeing. Yeah. So.
Yeah. All right, that's it for today. We'll be right back here next week. Follow us on Twitter. Stay up to date on all things Packers, or to ask us questions. Or you can email us at gbpackerssean@gmail.com. Make sure you're subscribed to Packers Talk on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. Big thanks to PackersTalk.com for powering our show, and thank you for listening. Till next time, go Pack, go.
Go Pack, go.